Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is order of business for October 27, 2020, our electronically held regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council, and it is a virtual meeting. At this time, Madam Clerk, can you please take roll call?
Good evening.
Good
The
evening.
next item after the roll call on the agenda is going to be the a motion, hopefully, to adopt the amended Open Meetings Act, electronic meetings. And so I'm going to ask you, our part of the new procedure is to state specifically where you're at, which would include your county, state, township, or village, and the state in which you are seated on right now. So after you say here, if you could announce that, we would appreciate that. So Councilman Abdullah?
Here, well, let me try to memorize what you said. I'm in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, Wayne County, at
You just have
my business office.
Okay, and the state, all you have to do, Councilman Abdullah, is like say Dearborn Heights, Michigan.
Dearborn Heights, Michigan.
Okay, there you go. Councilman Bazey?
Here, Dearborn Heights, Michigan.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
Here, and I am in Dearborn Heights, Wayne County, Michigan.
Councilman Wenzel?
Here, I'm in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, city with a future.
Councilman Muscat?
Here, Dearborn Heights, Michigan.
And Councilwoman Malinowski Maxwell?
Here, I am in Dearborn Heights, Wayne County, Michigan.
Okay, Councilman, oh, we need to unmute Councilman Constant. Did I get on?
I got him.
Thank you. Councilman Constant, you need to state.
Here in Dearborn Heights, Wayne County, Michigan.
Okay, Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight, I'd like to have Councilman Wenzel lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Council Chair, before I do, I'd like to acknowledge that the flag behind me was donated by Monica and Ed Jackson, two fine residents of Dearborn Heights, who will unfortunately be leaving our city after 64 years residency. Sad to see them. And those will do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, please be seated. Next, we have adoption of updated procedures for the electronic meeting. It's a recommended motion. We need a motion and a second for it.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat,
motion to adopt the updated City Council electronic meeting procedures to comply with PA 228-2020 that was signed into law by Governor Gretchen Whitmer on October 16th, 2020.
Second the motion.
seconded by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have agenda approval.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the City Council approve the order of business October 27th, 2020, the electronically held regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council, virtual meeting as submitted.
Support.
Support by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have approval of minutes. This is minutes from the electronically held regular meeting of September 22nd, 2020.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant,
I move that the minutes from the meeting held electronically on September 22nd, 2020, as outlined in 4A, and the minutes from the electronically held regular meeting of October 13th, 2020, as outlined in 4B, be approved as submitted.
Support. And
support.
We got a
Any
separate.
discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes,
The mayor's waving his hand.
yes.
the discussion is, okay, let's do this.
You know, Madam Chair, you really should mute me. By the charter, I should be able to be unmuted like the council members, but that's not my objection at this point. On the motion in the minutes from September 22nd, motion 20-325 is not accurate. The council chair did not complete the roll call vote and held a vote on the matter even before having a motion. And those should be reflected accurately in the minutes of the 9/22 meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in
Oh,
favor
Madam
say
Chair.
aye.
We have a tape
Madam
of
Chair,
that meeting, I
I have,
think.
oh, sorry, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton, go ahead, please.
Yes, I do have something I'd like to add, please.
Sure.
I'd like my statement that I've prepared for the record. I'd like it to be entered into the record and requested it be part of today's record. Was prepared tonight to come forward and address and ask for reconsideration on a motion that was dated September 22nd, which is motion 20-329. There was new evidence that's come forward that we are aware of and has been disseminated to our DPW director as well as all elected officials in Dearborn Heights regarding grant opportunities for CSO projects, as well as the lead line replacement programs, though the lead lines are more for disadvantaged communities. I think with $250 million available in grants to support these much needed projects, I think due diligence, it is our responsibility as elected officials. And for when we talk about fiduciary responsibility, we absolutely should exercise due diligence before passing on these expenses to our residents. Again, this is new evidence. Like I was prepared to ask for that reconsideration. However, I have been informed, and I want you to know, I did talk to an attorney and a parliamentarian about this, and they said that was their recommendation how to proceed according to parliamentarian rules. However, I've been advised that our corporate attorney for the city of Dearborn Heights, Mr. Gary Miyake, had issued an opinion letter that stated this was not an option. So again, I would like the record to reflect that I was prepared to ask for a revote on that motion because I do not support moving forward until due diligence is exercised, especially when our residents are already struggling during a pandemic. And I think, again, we have that responsibility to our residents. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I mean, is it a proper time? I'm sorry, is it proper time now to make the motion, or should we just vote on it and make a motion afterwards, as Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton mentioned?
There's a motion on the floor.
There was a
now.
motion on the table already and it was seconded. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Okay, so Madam Chair, can we,
Yes.
I mean, we normally vote on them separately, so why are we voting on them together?
I'm sorry, I just read the top one. And
Okay.
Councilman Constant, can you please redo it? I was going to say something. I'm only doing the minutes from the electronically held regular meeting of September 22nd, 2020 by
So moved.
itself.
The meetings from the meeting of September 22nd, 2020,
Okay.
as outlined in 4A.
Support.
For Councilman Abdullah. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No,
The ayes have it. Next item is minutes from the electronically held regular meeting of October 13th, 2020.
Madam Chair,
Woman Hicks Clayton,
Oh, go ahead, Councilman Abdullah, if you'd like to take the motion.
go ahead.
I move that we approve the minutes from the electronically held regular meeting of October 13th, 2020 as outlined in item 4B.
Support.
Support by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have public hearing and comment on agenda items. We have a street vacation of unpaved roadway on Daniels between Powers and Courier public hearing. Madam Clerk?
Okay, you need a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
second,
Clayton, motions to open it. Councilman Bazey, seconds. Go ahead, please.
All in favor? Takes the vote, Madam Chair.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Well, Madam Chair, are we going to be opening this to any type of discussion or no?
Yeah. Madam Clerk, this is yours.
Yes, this is where you want to, if there's any discussion, this is where the council would discuss it. I have not received any request from the public through our email that they have any, questions on it. So yes, Councilman Abdallah, now would be the appropriate time to share your pros or cons. or
Okay,
just-
so, Madam Chair,
And we limit it to 2 minutes in this section. State your name, address in 2 minutes.
okay, so one of the concerns that I had about this, and I know I spoke about it the last time we held a meeting in regards to this, is the fact of giving away land completely for free. I do understand for the business that we are referencing here, why they would want that for free. I mean, I'd want land for free too, so I get that. And at the same time, I have no problem with giving away alleys in the back of properties for free. But in this particular case, I've always been of the opinion you sell them that particular property, even if it's as little as $2,000, $3,000, it's much better than to just give it to them for $1. In addition to that, in terms of vacating this particular area in a public hearing, what I was wondering about, and I'm not sure who could answer that, was there a sign put up there so that the public can know about it? And then number two, with due respect to a lot of the local newspapers in the area, and I know that's one way to get the word out, and I know that's one of the ways we did use to get the word out, but was there a sign put up, and was this on our website specifically to let residents know about this in case they had any type of objection, pro or
Yes.
con?
Yes, we followed policy. It was published on our website according to procedure on September 28th.
Okay,
Which was 4 weeks beforehand, and I know DPW posted it on the property.
okay,
They're in charge of that, so, but I know that they did because they came and asked me questions, and we posted the Zoom information as well.
okay. Thank you, clerk.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
Now, this is just a roadway that a business is going to be using as a roadway, correct? Can anybody?
That would be,
A resident that's raising her hand. Do you have an answer to that particular question?
yeah, that's Kim from our assessing office.
Sorry,
Okay, let me unmute her. Kim, unmute yourself, please.
Doesn't have a title.
Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this particular area is currently, it's not a roadway, it is just grass, and it is right above where the Ecorse River is. And so this particular piece of Daniel was never paved. It's right next to Powers. And if we didn't do any kind of exchange in property and we just vacated the alley, then we would split the alley in half, and half would go to the business next door that's requested it to be vacated, and then the other half would come to the city. Or if the city was interested in transferring their portion of the street over to the business because they would find use for it, then that's a different topic, I believe. But just vacating it, what would initially happen is it would be split in half. And then
Would they be able to build on it?
From what I was told, they wanted to put a parking lot area on it and then build on the land that they already owned. I don't have all the details of that, but that was the information I was initially given. I believe the gentleman who requested it is on the call here.
Because I'm
but I'm not
curious, if
sure.
it's above
What is their
the
name?
river, will it hurt? Will it hurt the surrounding area with more water problems?
I don't think so, but I am not an engineer, so I cannot definitely make a claim of any way, one way or the other. All I know is about the process of vacating legally, the legal description, how it
Yeah,
would
it's
be
like an
divided.
alley now.
It's basically just grass there. I mean, if you look at it, I included a couple of a satellite photo from Google in your original packet with it. I'm not sure if you guys have that available to you currently. But it's currently just grass. And
My
there's
concern is it
nothing
gets
there.
paved, it rains, where's the water gonna go? Are they gonna be able to tie into sewer systems? That's what I'm really worried about.
I mean, those are all valid questions. I don't have a response for that because, I'm not an engineer, like I said, but as far as I know, that would just be the vacating process. So if there was more information, I mean, I put this out to the utilities and around to our DPW and our building department, and I got them back and everyone gave approval on this one. So,
What business is that? What business?
I don't have the name of the business right in front of me. It's somewhere. Hold on, let me look. I just have the name of the owners. Oh, let's see. GGSG LLC. So they are over on, it looks like they do asbestos, lead, mold, demo, installation, and consulting, according to the business card I have here.
Just to give you a heads up, it's roughly about a 60-foot by about a 250-foot lot.
Yeah, yep. And if we didn't want to transfer any of it and we just wanted to vacate it, then it would be, they would get 30 by the 270 and then we would get 30 by the 270 on the side of the property that the city owns.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead, Councilman Bazey, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to find out what type of business it is. I know it mentions consulting. Are they doing consulting? I've heard various things that they're doing at the property. So I mean, me myself, I'd like to find out exactly what they're setting up over there, so it doesn't disrupt or you know, bother the residents in the area. So I just want to make sure that we're not going to have an issue later on. You know, the residents going to have an issue because obviously, since we don't know what's going up there, obviously the residents don't know what's going up there. So I'd like to find out before we vote on this, what's going to go up there.
Do we have a representative from the company there here?
Madam Chair? Madam Chair?
Madam Chair.
I'm looking at it right now. I just did a Google map search of it, and all it says on their sign is GGSG LLC Global Green Service Group. So obviously it's not generally something that's open to the public.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry. Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Councilman Abdullah about giving away, we've talked about this before, about giving that away or any property like that. But I also strongly agree with Councilman Muscat that we need to take a look at the impact with possible, and I know this would come before the planning board, but the gray infrastructure development, especially along the Ecorse Creek and the floodplain, there's concern with that. So I think those questions need to be asked by someone who has more expertise in answering that question and evaluating that. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant, I'm sorry, I've got Dolly. Oh, no, it says Global Green now. They've changed their name. Let's unmute them and see what they have to say because they're.
Good evening,
Go ahead,
everyone.
please.
My name is Dolly, and I am the controller here at Global Green Service Group. I wanted to answer any questions that you might have regarding our business, and I also have two of the owners on the phone here, Aaron Tucker and Clayton Robinson, which they were the ones that were requesting the land.
I'm unmuting Aaron's cell right now. Can you unmute yourself, sir? Thank you. Go ahead.
Sure. I'm Aaron Tucker. I'm in Gibraltar, Michigan, Wayne County. I'm the president of Global Green Service Group.
Can you tell us what the company actually does?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell us what the company does?
Absolutely. Whenever we bought the building in 2008, we worked very closely with the city to provide every bit of information that they wanted or asked for and stuff that we thought the city needed to know. At that time, we were about 5 years old. We're an asbestos abatement contractor primarily. We do a lot of demolition, interior strip out, things of that nature. We have a small insulation company, a union insulation company, and a small mechanical company as well.
So you won't be storing any hazardous material there?
No.
Okay, so you won't be storing none at all?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very kindly, sir.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant, you're next, please.
And the gentleman from Global Green,
Oh.
do your crews originate from the building there on Daniels? Do they, park the trucks there and then come and go from there? And is any of the hazardous material stored there?
I want to make this clear to everybody. What we're dealing with is not hazardous waste. It's not hazardous waste.
Like the asbestos, for example.
Correct. There's an asbestos box on that property. It's been there since we opened the doors. We went out when we provided our plot plan. We had to provide all that information before we got our certificate of occupancy. So we provided that information, and there is an asbestos dumpster there, correct?
There's an
But it was
asbestos,
not
I'm
hazardous
sorry.
waste.
You said there is an asbestos dumpster, did you say?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
It's
go
a
ahead, go
six-sided
ahead.
closed top dumpster that's locked. And it's been there for 12 years.
And this is an area behind the building or next to the
It's to
building?
the south side of the property. The address that we work out of is 27113 Powers. The piece of land that we're talking about is a right of way that was never installed. Whenever we provided our plot plan from our architect, when we did our initial design, that's where we discovered that's what it was.
And is it used as an alley now or at all?
No usage at all. It's just a cost to the city for maintenance and whatever else, keeping the trash out of there and all that stuff. We help with that, and gladly. But no, nobody uses it for anything.
And then your plan is to use it for parking?
Right. We want to expand so we can have some more lay down area. We want to we want to take down one of our buildings, the south building on our property, which I think does have a Daniels address. We want to take that building down, make it longer, but we need to recover that lay down area that we're going to use up by putting that bigger building in.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And as far as watershed and things of that nature, none of this would be done without an engineer and architects involved. And we will identify those things. It's something that we talk about. We're an environmental company. Our job is to come up with solutions for problems like this. It's what we do. But before, nobody would approve of anything over there before we did that anyway. So just rest assured that's how we move.
Madam Chair, just for follow-up. I thank you for that, by the way, for sharing that. And also, who is maintaining that area now? Because it's grassy, correct? Who's maintaining that? Is the city doing that, or have you been doing that? The city
maintains it. If somebody comes by and throws trash out, we'll pick it up because we're there every day.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Wenzel.
Yes, this is to the owner. The asbestos dumpster, is that currently being used for your business?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you
Yes,
store asbestos in there, and how is it removed? Is it weekly, or how do you? Is it somebody come and
As the
dump?
container fills up, we have a contract with it's not H&H Metals, but the guys over there on what's the
Natural
waste
waste.
hauler, Dolly?
Natural waste.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Also, now lay down area. What you were referring to lay down area a couple of times. What is that?
Parking, containers. We want to put up a new fence over there. We just want to expand our parking lot so we have some more lay down area. Stuff for like fork trucks or whatever we've got over there.
Or equipment.
Bobcats, for example.
Yeah.
Equipment, right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair,
Oh, okay. I got Zuhair and then, go ahead, Mayor.
just a brief comment. The administration has no objection to the plan, and in fact, wants to help our businesses grow in the city, and thinks that the vacation and splitting the property half to the city and half to them would be a good positive thing.
Okay, thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor.
Treasurer Zuhair.
Yes, question to Kim, the assessor. How much this property is assessed for, and how much taxes it will bring to the city if the gentlemen take it?
Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the moment, doesn't generate any taxes because it's not a taxed parcel. It's a street. So I don't have the exact footage, how much that would add to the taxable value at this time, just because I didn't calc it out. But it would just be adding, right now it's not taxed. And if we decide to split it down the middle, I would be adding that 30 by, I think it's 275, to basically the square footage of the land next door. But I don't have the dollar amount that would bring in.
Thank you.
No problem.
Further discussion on this?
Madam Chair, I think
Wenzel?
before we vote on this, I'd like to find out what the value of this property is, the assessed value.
Madam Clerk, I don't think we're voting today. And it's up to
No.
us, right?
Well, I'd like to get that information anyway.
Let's unmute her.
Well, yeah, we're having the public hearing.
Madam Clerk,
What was that? I'm sorry.
what would you like to us proceed at this time? Do you
Well,
want us?
It's up to the council. If you still have questions that are unanswered, that would be up to you whether or not you voted today.
Council Chair, can we refer this back to the administration to give us the information that is needed? Would that be sufficient, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I can find that out. I think what you also should consider is it's not just the street vacation, that strip of that the assessor said 30 by 270, but they're intending to tear down one of the buildings and put a new building up. So consequently, this whole project will result in more positive dollars. I can try to find that out for you. I will contact Global Green and determine a rough valuation of additional. The other thing you should be aware of is that this is in the Tiffin district. So while it may generate considerable taxes, and there is the fact that some of those will be sheltered or moved over to the Tiffin district. Not all of it comes to the city of Dearborn Heights. And of course, there's some would go to the county and some would go to the school district. But we can find that out for you. We're happy to
That
do
sheds
so.
new light of a new building, which would be very nice.
Yes.
Madam Chair,
A resident by the name of Tim that would like to offer something, and then we'll go to you, Councilman Abdullah.
Good
Tim?
evening, all. Yeah, when they first moved in, Tifa did help them with funding. Am I correct?
Yes,
I
you
believe
are.
so.
Okay.
Very
So-
good to know, Tim.
Thank you.
Councilman Abdullah?
for me, somebody's got to answer me this particular question. Why, and again, this has nothing to do with the particular owner. I do respect who he is, and I thank him for being in Dearborn Heights, but still, as a councilman, I still got to think about this. Why would we give somebody a 270-foot lot for free? I mean, I think of many people that would take that particular lot and maybe possibly build on it if they're getting it for free. If not, we sell it to them for a particular dollar figure, but there's got to be some value to that. And you know, it's not $1 or $2 or $3 or $4,000. Now, we do got to keep in mind, it is not in an area that's highly developed. It is a more industrial area. There's not many residents around there, and that's not a residential lot. But to give it away for just free, I'm just personally, I'm totally opposed to it.
I agree.
Whether that one or any other one. So it's nothing against this particular firm. Thank you.
Back at this time, am I correct?
I'm sorry, say that again?
It sounds like the council is ready to refer this back to the administration. Am I correct?
Yes.
Madam Chair,
I move that we refer this back to the administration so we can find out the true value of the property. Not to say that I'm opposed to this, but this is what the council wants, so I make a motion that we return it back to the administration.
Support.
Point of order.
All those in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Madam
close
Chair.
the meeting.
Madam Chair, a point of order. I'd like to point something out. The procedure for a public hearing like this would be for the council to make a motion to close the public hearing, which matches what was originally done. And then would be the motion that you pass to refer it to the administration. We can do that research and put it on for the next agenda for you. But
I
you
apo-
really, you need to have a motion to close your public hearing
Right.
because you don't want to go through another public hearing.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize. That's how it's supposed to happen. You
Council
have to
Chair,
close
I
the
move to
public
close the
hearing and then the
public hearing.
motion.
Madam Chair,
at this point, I'm going to move that we close the public hearing. Do I hear support?
support.
Support.
Okay. Everyone in favor, say aye.
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 Public hearing is over with. Now you want to go the next
Council
step
Chair.
and refer
Madam
back,
Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move the city council move this item back and refer it back to the administration to answer some of the questions we have.
Support.
support.
By Councilman Constant. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Have it. We referred that back to administration. Okay, next item on the agenda is fund transfers and current claims.
Excuse me, Chairperson, can I ask a question? This is Dolly with Global Green. I just have one comment.
We're already past that section.
I just want to know what the next step for us is.
What, if I might, this is the mayor talking. If you or one of the gentlemen can call my office tomorrow or sometime this week, and then I can, we can resolve, I think, the questions that came up to the council and with my assessor and get you on the next agenda, hopefully for approval.
I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Okay, at this time, we are going to move on to the next item, which is fund transfers and current claims.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we approve the city council approve the fund transfers and current claims for 6/1 through 6/50 as submitted.
Support.
Support by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair.
Sure.
Councilman Muscat?
I just want to thank those directors that I reached out to by email this past weekend with questions about the certain items, and I want to thank them for responding. Police Chief Myers, DPW Director, and Ordinance Director McIntyre. Thank you very kindly. We can't hear you.
Councilman Abdullah, did you have a comment?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Go ahead.
So I've got a question on fund transfer 620. And this is for our police chief, Mark Myers. Chief, yep, there he is. So Chief, I had a question on this one. The amount to me, this is for the lawn care and shrub services. The amount to me just seemed on the outside looking in like a pretty high figure for cutting grass, shrub trimming, etc. So A, if you don't mind filling me in a little bit as to why the amount at least appears to be so high. And B, the second question I had for you is why we don't use, in order to be able to save maybe possibly somebody, and again, the keyword is possibly, maybe either artistic or Eager Beaver that we use for a lot of our city services. You're muted.
Oh, that's Mark. And I don't have.
Wait, we can't hear you.
You're on,
Don't
you-
mute it.
you- we need you there.
All right,
Yes.
now we can hear you.
All right, perfect. Okay, so couple things. Let's start with the second question first. We had discussed even prior to this about that it needs to be gone through rebid, so we'll do that for the spring. Just to see if there's something else out there. We've used JQ Tag, a local company, to do this. It's been years that they've been working on this facility, and we've always reinstated it, but like everything else, we have to take a second look and we'll do that. As for the cost, obviously we split it between the two. As we go through it, the lawn care, it's a large property. So when you see a lot of the weeding and the shrubs, the weeding is not just the weeding of the gardens and the beds. It's also of the cracks. It's of the memorial. It's of the front and back of the properties. As these go down the front wall on Michigan Avenue, we had them do some extra stuff because it's been now 17 years since we've been in here. we had them redesign, not redesign, but reshape the beds around the trees. So this was something that was much needed so we can make our property look good. Because it is the welcoming center to our city on Michigan Avenue. And sometimes looking good is just as good as playing good. And they've done a good job for us, but we will reevaluate it. And I think that's the lawn care. If you look, that's a weekly charge of $100 a week or $120.
Yeah, that seemed fair. Honestly, my biggest concern was probably the shrub trimming and then the front wall on Michigan Avenue, but now you've explained it further. So it was those two items I was most concerned about. And the second thing is, like I said, to possibly have one of the two companies that we currently use to maybe do this at a hopefully better price.
Okay, I have no problem. Like I said, we're reevaluating a lot of those contracts, and as we come into the new season, we will because we'll be into the spring.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is consideration of bids. This is with Chief of Staff Laszlo, request for bids, title services for 2016 PDM PJ 05 grant for home acquisition.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
I'm just trying to scroll to it here. Here we go. 7A, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Okay. So this is a request from Christina Laszlo, Chief of Staff for the administration. On September 21st, 2020, our body awarded appraisal services to be started on the homes along Courier and Hanover identified in the 2016 PDM PJ05 grant. No appraisal has been completed yet. And at this particular point, they have our counsel, Harry Kalagerakos, has prepared the attached request for proposal. And he is asking our body to authorize the city to seek requests for proposals for title services under the guidelines of the 2016 home acquisition grant as outlined in item 7A.
Support.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is DPW Director Selmy, request for bids for City Hall roof replacement.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move council approve the request for the city for bids for City Hall roof replacement as outlined in 7B.
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey?
Well, first, I'd like to also thank Director Selmy. I sent a bunch of questions on this one in particular, and he responded with a company that actually put the bid or this presentation together. There's a few things I don't like on it still. You know, I mean, we have a building director or building department that actually goes up and they inspect commercial buildings in the city, and, you know, some probably bigger than our city hall, and it looks like we're paying a company to come in and do the work, quality work, which like our department, with the building department that should be inspecting that. So we're going to an outside source. And also the other problem that I have with is right now with the situation that we're in, you know, with the pandemic, I think we should give it, you know, the end of next year to figure out what our financials would be, you know, with the effect of this COVID. So I mean, I'm going to vote no for this. So wait for another few months till after the pandemic that we're in right now. So that's my take.
Council Chair.
Discussion?
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
Thank you. This is just to go out for bids, Mr. Selmy. Am I correct on this?
Let me unmute him. Director Selmy?
Yep. Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, so this is a request to go out to bids. This was a budgeted item that was approved by the council. The other part of this, obviously, we're up against the weather now, so this is not going to probably get done till the springtime. The roof is not getting any better, obviously. As far as the $5,000 contingency in there for the company to inspect, my thought was there that this is what they do on a daily basis. So if the council wants Larry Domsky and his team to inspect this, I mean, I'm fine with that. It's a $5,000 cost that's in the budget for this. If the council would rather have the building department to inspect that, I'm totally fine with that. I was just trying to be respectful for their time. I know that they're a little short over there. So, and quite honestly, I don't have the expertise on commercial roofing, and I don't know, what their expertise is on these types of flat roofs. We're spending a lot of money on this. So, my goal is to get this right the first time. So.
Council Chair, to
Madam
piggyback
Chair.
on that,
Councilman Muscat?
I would, the line of work that I've always been in, I would think that I want somebody that's a professional, just not an inspector, somebody that's actually been on the tools and is doing it currently. And this is just for a bid anyway. It's not really to get the work started. So that's my opinion.
I agree.
Madam Chair.
Bella?
So is, just by any chance, is director for the building department on here by any chance?
Larry Domsky.
Is he on there? Okay. Because I
got him,
oh, you do got him?
if he wants to be heard.
Okay. Larry, can you hear us?
Al?
Because I think with Councilman Bazey's idea, I think it's a pretty good idea, honestly, and I do see his point. So with that being the case, I think it's worth at least looking into that and maybe asking our current director, Larry Domsky of the building department, this is something that he can handle. Is he on the line?
I asked him to unmute a couple times, but I'm not sure if he's seeing it.
Dr. Domsky, can you hear us?
Oh, there we
There you
go.
go. Whoops.
Oh.
Dr. Domsky? There you go.
All right.
Council Chair.
But I think he muted himself back up again by mistake.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
No one touch it.
Okay, what was your question on if we would do the final inspection on it, correct? But are you talking about the type of materials and writing specs and that? Is that what you're referring to?
It was Councilman Bazey that brought that up. I think it's fair to have him answer that.
Well, we have much bigger buildings than the city hall in the city of Dearborn Heights, commercial buildings. So why is that you guys inspect these commercial buildings, but yet we're paying another company to come in and do the same work that you guys can do yourself? I mean, you guys are inspecting other businesses that have commercial buildings with same thing. They have a flat roof as well, obviously. So what makes the city hall different?
Well, I believe that spec they probably will have an inspector on site all times. It was a $5,000 fee. And what we do on roofs, when they call for a final, we'll go out, make sure it's weather tight. That's what we do.
Yeah,
We're not out there every roof to see what's been added or not. And I don't know how the spec was wrote, to tell you the truth.
Well, obviously when a company, I mean, to pay, I'm sure it's going to be a few $100,000 for this roof, and I'm sure they're going to offer a warranty with this roof. So again, I go back to, I mean, that's my biggest issue right now is if we're going to do this or not till spring or early summer, we should wait on this till maybe early next year. Because if you put a bid, you send it out for bid, I don't know how long the bids are good for. We might come back, they might come back and say, well, this was like 4 or 5 months ago, so now it's going to be more money.
Yeah. So that's a fair question. But the contractors are aware of that this is most likely going to be a spring job anyways, and they are going to hold their pricing. And again, it's a $5,000 fee when we sign the contract, and if the council's not comfortable with that amount, then we can remove that. But I think that we should, my recommendation is that we move forward, because come springtime, these contractors, roofing contractors get busy. They're lining up their work for the springtime now. So they're well aware that, you know, they're up against the weather also, so.
Council Chair, one final question from me, please.
Councilman.
John, Mr. Selmy, the $5,000, is that more for them to come out and scope out the area, see what needs to be done, and types of material to be used?
Yeah. So the 5,000 is for a half a day inspection. Every day that the contractor's on site, they will have somebody on site also. So to make sure the tear off's done correctly, you know, everything that they put back on is done correctly. The proper materials are being used. You know, they're assuring us that what the bid package says, that's what's going to happen. And they're going to be on site on a daily basis for a half a day.
That's pretty inexpensive for that. That's pretty cheap.
I thought it was a little bit of insurance policy too. Again, like I said, you know, we only want to do this once, and we put a brand new roof on there, and then we got some type of issue a couple months later, then people are going to be asking me, well, what happened? You know, so just a recommendation.
Thank you, sir.
Move forward and vote on it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
Okay, let's take a roll call vote. We have got, let me do this right here. Councilman Muscat.
No. Yes, sorry.
Councilman Constant.
Yes.
Councilman Bazey.
No.
Councilman Abdullah.
No.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
No.
Councilman Wenzel.
This is just approving the job going out for bids, correct?
That's correct.
I'll vote yes.
And Malinowski Maxwell is yes, it passes. Next item on the agenda is DPW Director Selmy, request for bids for pressure reducing valve vault.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move City Council concur with Mr. Selmy to approve the pressure reducing valve as outlined in 7C.
Support.
Support.
Supported by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is DPW Director Selmy, request for bids for a CSO L-42 design and engineering.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Adela.
I move that we concur with Director of Public Works, John Selmy, who's requested, who has reviewed and concur with Wade Trim's letter dated October 2nd, 2020, to proceed with updating of the CSO 42 construction plans to include water main replacement to the project and prepare the plans for the receipt of bids. And he's requesting approval for the Wade Trim to update the CSO L42 design documents in an amount not to exceed $195,000. And this work is an approved 2020-21 water and sewer budget as outlined in item 7D.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I go back to what I had brought up earlier, that there is new discovery, there are grants available. And I have spoken with representatives from Eagle that have stated these projects actually aren't due until 2025. And now we've received correspondence from Eagle that states those may be even revisited based on the fiscal challenges that communities, local government is going to be facing in the upcoming years. For example, 2021, the state is projecting a $1 billion deficit. By 2022, they're expecting $150 billion. That will obviously impact all of our municipalities across the state of Michigan. If Eagle has given us options, including applying for a grant that is out there. Again, $250 million is out there in grant money, and I've shared those resources with our elected officials and our director. If that's available, I do believe we have an opportunity here, but also we should have to exercise our due diligence before just approving this and passing it on. Thank you.
Council Chair.
Thank you. I'm sorry, who do I have now?
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat. Sorry, it didn't light up. I didn't catch that.
Thank you, Council Chair. I agree with Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton, because even in previous months past, and maybe even a year, I've always asked the question, are there any grants? Because this is a mandated thing by the state. So, and I was always told no, and there may not have been at that time, but there is now. And if we don't take full advantage of getting grants, then we're foolish. We're very foolish. I don't want to stop the process of we're still going to have to do the engineering regardless of the grants, but we have to do our due diligence and see about getting some of this money to pay for some of this. Even if it just pays for this, it's money well coming to us, taxpayer money. So I agree with Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. So I really don't know what to do with this.
Madam Chair.
At this point, we're discussing it, then we will vote. Next is Councilman Abdullah.
So I have a question for our director, John Selmy. Just hypothetically, if we waited on this for these grants, and look, I hope it works out, but just in my mind, I'm just thinking, how come something like this has never come up, whether from administration or maybe we've seen other local cities do this. But I mean, if it is a good new idea, that's great. Excellent. No objection from me. But with that being the case, this is for our director, John Selmy. If we delayed this, let's just say, and I'm using a hypothetical, we voted against this right now, and we delayed this maybe for another 2 weeks or maybe even a month until we make that decision. Is that going to have any type of impact on your end as far as getting the project A done in a timely manner? And then B, is there any possible potential pitfalls to this?
Yeah. So a couple of things, in all due respect to the councilwoman, there is some funding out there. To say that they're grants, they are loans. Basically, the grants are going to be for disadvantaged communities, which will result in some loan forgiveness. Dearborn Heights has applied for to see if we are a disadvantaged community. I got a response back from EGO, which said it would be later, mid to late November for a response to that. The only part of a grant that would be administered to the city is if they're disadvantaged, and that would equal some loan forgiveness up to a maximum of $3 million on certain projects. The $250 million is there is some money that's left over from some bonds the state had sold years ago, and it still needs legislation approval to go forward, and then they were going to piggyback that with some federal funds of the $250 million roughly. So, and then to answer Councilman Abdullah's question, if we waited on this project to get out to bid, then we would not be able to build it in 2021. So that would push it out another year. And as far as applying to EGLE for grants and SRF loans or drinking water loans, the earliest that, if we get selected, the earliest that we would receive any of those fundings would be fourth quarter of 2022 potentially, or early 2023. So that's ultimately a decision that the council will have to make.
So director, you say you push it out for another year. What could the pitfalls of that be?
2 years.
Well, it'll be a couple of years potentially if the city is selected for funding, and like everything else, nothing goes down. So the cost of the project just will probably, in my estimate, escalate, some more. So, I'm unaware of a letter from the state saying that we don't have to do these projects till 2025. If somebody could share that with me, that'd be great. I have not seen nothing, and typically those things would come across my desk. So, but again, as far as the funding, and we need to be clear on what's a grant. They're not handing out $20 million grants. I'm quite confident of that. Again, it's in the form of a loan forgiveness on the principal, and that's upwards. The maximum is $3 million but you have to be a disadvantaged community.
Any further discussion?
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat, I'm going to ask you to start using the hands because it's too hard when you wave it up to see who's next.
Okay, but you know,
Councilman Muscat, you're next.
if we wait longer, it may cost us more in our interest rates. That's one. Number two, material always rises in price, and so does the labor cost. That's not to say we still can't apply for these grants,
right,
and help pay for that later. So I'd like to approve this if possible. Thank you.
Okay. We have Councilman Wenzel.
Thank you. You know, I've voted no on this matter from the beginning, and only because the fact that we weren't getting any kind of assistance in any way whatsoever. $29 million projects from different federal and state, and no one's going to offer us a penny. That's why I've been voting no, not because of the projects. The projects are desperately needed, and it's just a matter of this funding. Now there's something may come up. Maybe it will just pay for something. Maybe we can apply for loan forgiveness. But, you know, we're talking a 6% water bill increase every year for the next 3 years. And people talk like, oh, it's only 6%, but 6%, it's 18% in 3 years minimum. And our residents can't afford 18%, 20% increase in the next 3 years. So until we find out if we definitely, every avenue is checked into, I'm going to vote no on this.
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
I'm just wondering, from Wade Trim, Dan Brooks, I'm just curious if maybe on his end, if he's got any input on this. I'd like to hear his comments on this if he doesn't mind. Specifically, as far as being able to receive funding or grants or loans or forgiveness or anything along that line.
Pretty much what Mr. Salmi indicated is pretty accurate. The money for the wastewater side, legislature still has to pass some guidelines on that. And then the grants would be some forgiveness for SRF loans. So if the city wants to pursue SRF loans, that's the avenue to get some grant dollars. In terms of the project, there's a lot of redesign that needs to be done. Again, you can move forward, get that design package together, and then you can make a decision. Do you bid it in 21 or you bid it in 22? We have been in constant contact with Eagle for the last year and a half, trying to get a solid date on these projects. And they keep telling us it's in the works, and but they are very busy too and behind.
And last question, Dan, the amount, obviously, although I'm not an expert on plans and what have you, the amount seems to be like, you know, honestly, the first time I seen it over the weekend, my eyes opened up. 195,000 for these plans. Can you fill us in why so much?
Well, we're adding water main design to the plans. The sewer separation plans are completed. They were completed in 2014. They just need to be updated to current standards. That's a minor effort. But there's 15,000 feet of water main we need to design and put into the project. That's majority of the cost.
But we're still talking about almost $250,000.
195,000.
Right. I mean, it's a lot of money for designs. I mean,
Right. It's based on our estimate of effort. And again, we only bill for our effort. You know, if we can get the job done for 175, then that's all we bill. So it's based on looking at the amount of work that's needed to update the plans.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? Okay, let's take a vote on this. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
We have roll call on that. We have Councilman Muscat. What is your vote?
Yes.
Councilman Constant, what is your vote?
Yes.
Councilman Bazey, what is your vote?
No.
Councilman Abdullah, what is your vote?
No.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton, what is your vote?
No.
Councilman Wenzel, what is your vote?
No.
Malinowski Maxwell is no. Motion fails.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
are we going to, maybe, I guess this question would be for Mr. Selmy or the mayor. Will we be looking forward or going forward and trying to get some of these awards or grants or whatever, however we're going to do it, so we can bring this back to the table as soon as possible, because we really need to get this done.
So,
Mayor, go ahead, please.
well, John, probably, I would think we'll be in sync on this. I have been involved with a lot of SRF funding as it related to the downriver treatment plant. That is a loan. That is not a grant. And I will tell you that we applied on 2 different occasions as a city for disadvantaged status. And we did not even come clear to that threshold. The kind of communities that qualify are going to be like Highland Park, a couple of the downriver communities. I think Muskegon qualified, but you'll find the threshold is you have to have like years of deficits, have a lot of criteria that we didn't even come close. I mean, we have a super bond rating, and I think it will be very difficult, but we certainly would make every effort to apply for every grant that would be available. But the loans on an SRF, while they're subsidized, when we met with McGraw from the legal firm that was helping us, I mean, we're right around a 2% interest rate. So an SRF loan might be 1%. And as was mentioned by Councilman Muscat, costs will go up. I'm not so sure it makes a lot of sense to wait for an SRF loan. A grant, on the other hand, would be something that I am always going to pursue, because anytime we can get some money, it helps us all as taxpayers.
Council Chair.
Director Selmy?
Yep, so just to piggyback on that a little bit. So we have applied for the disadvantaged community. That only will allow us to see if we are disadvantaged for some loan forgiveness. If it's the council's direction that we take this project and create it as an SRF, that, you know, we're looking at 2022, 2023 before we even know if we're eligible for funding. They only select so many projects per year for the amount of dollars that they have. So I'm clear with some direction on what we're going to do going forward. Do we wait till we get the disadvantage results back? That's going to tell us that A, we're going to get some loan forgiveness, or B, we're not going to get loan forgiveness. And then we're going to apply for this SRF money and push these projects out, you know, a few years down the road. And these projects were tied to the bond sale, which is on this agenda later on this evening too. So just probably need some direction here on, for me personally, on where I'm going.
And to go along with my question, I plan on living in this city for probably the rest of my life. And I definitely don't want to see this project increase $2 or $3 more million. This is something that we could have been done 10 years ago, probably $3 or $4 million cheaper than what we're getting now. But every year it's going to go up higher, folks, and there's no way around it. I don't care how you look at it. This project's going to get done one way or another. And I think we should take advantage of this 2%. And regardless if we get funding or not, the engineering has to be done. It has to be done. Can't go out, can't do it without the engineering. So just want to let you guys know that's what we voted. You voted not to get the engineering done. So I
And just-
appreciate everything that you've done.
Okay, I've
Thank you.
got Councilman Wenzel next. Go ahead, please.
So, we voted no on the engineering, but that could be brought back to us as far as maybe, Dan Brooks could come up with a package or something. He said it could be low as 170. Maybe we can come up with something. I agree, the engineering has to be done. But, you know, who knows what's going to happen? Who would have thought that the federal government would give out $1 trillion to all the citizens? We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We have a little bit of time. We don't have to decide the next week or the next month. Let's look into a couple of these things. Maybe something will pop up. I mean, as far as the engineering goes, I go along with Councilman Muscat. It's going to have to be done. Maybe we should just vote on that as an only particular item and have more information on that, exactly what they're going to do, and give us more information on that, because that's
what we just did, Councilman.
That's what we just did.
We
But
voted no on it.
Okay, do we want to re-vote on this? It sounds like there's some kind of confusion on what this was exactly about.
Yeah,
Director Salmi, would you like to explain it again so they know exactly what they're voting on? And then I will entertain taking another vote if everybody's in agreement to it.
Sure, we can talk about it again. I mean, this is for the L42 project. This was a part of the water budget conversations that we had. This was something that we were going to bond for. Since the budget was approved, the water and sewer budget was approved, the governor's office announced some money that was going to be coming available. To date, it still has to be approved by the legislature, signed by the governor. And those applications are very lengthy. They're very time consuming. And when they award them, if we applied today, we probably wouldn't get the next selection period is in probably the second or third quarter of 21. And I think those are already obligated by the state. So you're looking into 2022. I mean, the council doesn't have to do anything, but this was a part again of the bond issue, of which was, you know, we had a lot of conversation about in the water and sewer budgets.
But this last item was just for the engineering, correct?
Well, for engineering and to go out to bid.
Yeah,
well,
that's
the other part that we haven't talked about, but as long as we're talking about this, there's another CSO project that the city has to do up in the northeast corner, a separation project up in there. And that's a really large project. And I had spoken to Dan Brooks and we've been chatting about this. We think that would be a perfect project to try to go after some SRF funding. And that is 2 or 3 years out, you know, down the road. So, I mean, there's some other projects out there that nobody's talking about that have to be done also. So again, this is just the information for the council. I mean, what they choose to do, that's fine. I just need some direction because, you know, focus my energy on something else and move forward. You know, it's kind of where we're at.
Council Chair, I move that.
Wait a minute, I got a question for Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, I'm thinking of changing my vote since I misunderstood what it was. What would the procedure be?
Lynn's muted.
She's trying to unmute herself. Madam Clerk?
Oh, I am unmuted now. I still have a pop-up on my screen. Hold on one second. Actually, I think this would be appropriate time to reconsider the motion because it can be done at the same session.
All right, I'd like to reconsider the motion that we just voted on and vote on it again.
And it would have to be by a member who was on the prevailing side, who was on the yay vote. Wait a minute.
Council Chair.
Muscat?
I move council reconsider their vote on 7D, knowing that this is just for the engineering part of the 7D.
Is it just
for
engineering?
That was for the engineering work that's as outlined in 7D.
Support. Supported by Councilman Constant. This, like we've just discussed, this is just for the engineering.
This is, can we put it, this is strictly for engineering.
That's what 7D is.
Yeah, okay.
That's what 70 is for.
Who voted on the prevailing.
Carried. So, okay, let's reconsider the
Council
bid.
Chair, Council Chair,
Council, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk.
it says it must be a person who voted on the prevailing side of the motion to be reconsidered. So it was
Oh, so
defeated.
somebody that
It would be
voted no.
defeated.
Council
Right.
Chair could do it.
I'm bringing it up. I am
Okay.
doing it then.
There you go.
And I need support
Support.
Thank you. I
by
don't.
Councilman Muscat.
It doesn't matter.
Can we read the motion again?
The motion is DPW Director Selmy request for bids for the CSO L-42 design engineering. Okay.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
No,
Okay, we're going to do a roll call. Councilman Muscat,
Yes.
Councilman Constant,
Yes.
Councilman Bazey,
no,
Councilman Abdullah,
No,
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton,
No.
Councilman Wenzel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Malinowski Maxwell, yes, it does pass. Okay, next item on the agenda is reports from mayor. We have the Board of Review reappointment.
Madam
Madam
Chair.
Chair.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Hicks Clayton,
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the council concur with Mayor Daniel Pleco and reappoint Mr. Hassan Ahmad to the Board of Review, term to expire July 2023, as outlined in A.
second,
any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
I could just tell you as a Realtor, Mr. Hassan Ahmad is not only the president of our Board of Realtors, but he's also a director nationally and one of the most professional and honorable realtors there is in our area. So I think he'd be an excellent and continued addition to our review board, being that they obviously assess taxes, assessments, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have reports from city officials. This is City Clerk Senior, the Center for Tech and Civic Life Grant Award.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant,
I'd like to concur and congratulate our city clerk, Lynn Senia, for obtaining the grant from the Center for Tech and Civic Life Grant Award and allow her and the mayor to sign to accept the grant.
second,
supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we
job.
have,
Thank you.
you're welcome. The next we have City Clerk Senia, American Express Corporate Membership Reward Points.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat,
I move city council authorize the city clerk's office to utilize the American Express corporate membership reward points for the following: one desk and one printer as outlined in 9B.
support,
supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Mayor?
Yeah, I'd like to briefly, rather than talk on the next four, I'll just kind of combine it. But per the city charter, we are all required to get council approval before any purchases for equipment are made. The city's acting treasurer was not authorized to purchase this equipment, and I believe it's already been delivered in City Hall 3 weeks ago.
Excuse me, this one has not.
It has not,
This one has not.
then I will take my objection from that regard, but I will tell you that since it's being used for a printer, these American Express points have been specifically used for technology, for computers and related equipment. So I take my objection to 9B off, and this is the proper way to do it, is to get the approval up front. And I concur with the city clerk's efforts.
Thank you. Okay. This is for the American Express Corporate Membership Reward Points. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Treasurer Abdul Haq, budget amendment.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with our treasurer, Zahir Abdul Haq, who is asking members, council members approve the budget amendment for the treasurer's office capital outlay in the amount of $525, transfer from travel and education, and then transferring it to capital outlay as outlined in item 9C.
Support.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Constant.
Yeah, what is the reason for this and what is the reason for the new furniture for the treasurer's office? Somebody acting
Okay,
as the,
Councilman, we're just on the budget amendment only right now. That's the line item we're on.
what's the purpose of transferring it from travel and education to capital outlay?
Okay. Treasurer, I'm gonna unmute you. Would you like to answer that? Treasurer Abdul Haq?
Okay. We have printers which are used at the windows when we receive the checks or bills. And those are very old. We cannot find any spare parts for them. So we went and we ordered the 3 new printers, and we were short 500 and some in the budget. So we moved money from one place to another to cover the $2,700 to pay for those 3 printers. Because I don't want in the busy season of taxes that some of those printers don't work, then we have lines outside and we cannot do the job. That's why we are transferring this money.
Treasurer?
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
Councilman Abdullah?
So for the treasurer, so obviously in this particular case, what it appears to be is you've eliminated the travel and education amount of $525. So I presume, I don't know if it was for you or somebody in your department, no plans of using that. That's primarily the thing that you're doing. Is that correct?
Apparently with COVID, nobody is traveling, Councilman, at this time. So that's why we utilize that money in a better place.
Good idea. Thank you.
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair. Madam Chair.
She's muted.
Oh,
She's got the, go ahead, please.
me?
Yes.
All right, yeah. I wanted to add that, and I've been in the clerk's, or excuse me, treasurer's office, and I do commend you for having the foresight to recognize that the equipment there, I mean, we talk about receipt printers, this is very important to make sure that we are well prepared and able to function and operate to serve our community and our constituents through the treasurer's office. I do note and wanted to note that our treasurer, Mr. Abdul Haq, has noted this information about the purchase of the printers on item 9D. So 9C and 9D actually work together. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do commend you, Treasurer Abdul Haq, for making sure our office is operational and running and prepared.
Thank you.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is Treasurer Abdul Haq, purchase and payment receipt printers.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I move council approve the 3 Epson Series TMH 6000V receipt printer. The purchase will be paid from account 101-253-981.000 in amount of $2,775 as outlined in 9D.
Support.
By Councilman Bazey, is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Sorry, who?
you got cut off.
Okay, Councilman Abdullah?
So I had a question because I've seen on a couple of these, this one and the next couple of them, where our council chair, in this case, Denise Malinowski Maxwell, approved these. Was there any particular reason as to why it was approved by the council chair and not brought to the city council directly to vote on these? Council chair, you keep cutting off on Your
I'm
end.
sorry.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Council Chair.
It's cutting in and
Okay, I
out.
don't know what's going on with the mic. This is a brand new laptop too. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'll figure it out after we're done.
If I can answer it, please.
Go
Please.
ahead.
Is that okay with you, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was asking. Yes.
Okay. Those reward points come to the amount of $41,000. They are basically accumulated over the years. They were used before to purchase computer and other things. And when I found out about it from our treasurer, John Riley, I wanted it really to utilize it to buy things for several departments in the city. I went around and I asked several departments if they need anything, computers, printers, chairs, things like that for their offices, including the mayor's office. And I had more than 2 or 3 conversations with his assistant, Mrs. Laszlo, and I have a couple emails exchanged with her. And they asked for some chairs and shredder, paper shredder. When we looked at Amazon, every 13,700 points are worth $100. If we go outside, every 20,000 points are worth $100. So basically, if I go outside and buy them with American Express card, we lose 30% of the money. We only recover $29,000. So when we looked at Amazon, we found things needed in the treasurer's office. And I wish the mayor would come and walk a little bit inside the treasurer office to see what those items are for and why they are needed. So we looked at Amazon and we found out that some of those items are almost going to be sold out. We are not going to be able to buy them. So I have contacted several city council members and I asked permission to buy them so we can save around $1,500 for the city if we buy them right away. And I submitted the papers and we bought those items. Unfortunately, the mayor did not give us or his assistant the list which we want to buy for his office. The clerk gave us list and we bought what she wanted. And those are all necessities. They are not luxury item. And I don't want to go into the $45,000 car, which was bought years ago, and nobody knows where it was before it was approved by the council. Apparently, our mayor forgot about that. He just wants to play like kids, and he let those boxes sit in the lobby, in the corridor of the city hall for the last 3 weeks. I don't know what he accomplished. I don't know what he wants to, pin on me like I'm taking him home. Those are for 20 and some years old chairs. I wish, Mr. Mayor, you go down to the basement to see the disgusting chairs and cabins and things in the city. It smells like a bathroom down there. I don't want to go into lots of other things, but shame that you do this and you let the DPW people leave and you order them not to assemble those items. And if it comes to it, and if it bothers you so much, I'm willing to pay the $5,000 for those items as a gift from me to the Treasury office, which I am acting in it. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair. Well, if you don't mind, Mayor, I'd like to.
Councilman Abdullah's got the floor.
That's
Go
fine.
ahead, please.
So just, and I appreciate all the information that you gave, but just to get a total clarification, I just want to make sure I have this correct. The reason you went through the council chair is because there would have been savings versus waiting another 2 weeks or maybe possibly a month to be able to get the answer from the council as a whole. Was that correct?
That's exactly the case.
Okay, thank you.
We saved $1,500 by doing this. And I spoke to Ray, I spoke to Lisa, I spoke to Bill, and I spoke to Denise, and I went and I bought them, not against anything against anybody else, but I figure, you know, it's a necessary purchase for the office, and the office needs really remodeling because there are so many boxes of document need to be put in place and need to be marked what it is. I have to ask John, where is this file and that file, because I don't know where they are. So the filing cabinets need to be there, and we need really to file every piece of paper, because every piece of paper is important to the city, important to the treasury, and important to the accounting. So I wasn't buying something to take home, and I wasn't trying to insult anybody or go over somebody's head. Okay, the reason we did this just to save the $1,500 or $1,600 for the city.
Sure, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Mayor, go ahead.
Okay, the proper procedure to handle this is you don't get the council chair's approval. You don't violate the Open Meetings Act by going around and phone calling some council members and not others, is that it goes through a budgeting. It goes through prior approval. I checked with John Riley. John Riley told you the procedure that you request city council approval before you make any purchases for equipment. You disregarded what he told you. Chrissy from my office told you, you have to get city council's approval before. You did not do that. That is violating the charter. It is violating the Michigan Uniform Budgetary Act. It is violating the credit card use policy of the city. Considering that the city council is claiming that I've been misusing city funds, including credit cards, and that most of these accusations originated from Mr. Abdu Haq, it is he who now violates all these. It is he should have
Okay,
a
please
forensic
keep your
audit.
voice down.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Only this entire city
Okay, we're not going
council.
to get in an argument here. At this
No, no.
point, we've got Councilman Muscat waiting to be recognized. Go ahead,
Well, you
please.
cut me off. You didn't let me finish my statement. That's not proper. Let me finish my
Please keep
statement.
your voice calm.
I will.
So,
Only the entire city council, not the council chair, has the power to authorize such purchases. They are done at the beginning. These
Mayor,
funds have been used
please,
for outlay for technical equipment. And these funds are this is not the way to handle a proper authorization. You violated the law, Mr. Abdu Haq, what you accuse me all the time of doing.
can I say something, please?
okay, and then we're going to move on to Councilman Muscat.
Okay.
Keep it short, please.
Years ago, when you first got elected, the chief of police came and asked you to sign on buying a car for over $40,000. And they went and they bought the car. The mayor didn't sweat about $45,000 car, which we don't know until today who's using it. If you can tell us, Mr. Mayor, where is that car? And why you accepted that years ago, and now you're going after me because I am the one who's going to discover everything you're doing.
You know what? I'd like to respond to that. Yes, when I first became council chair, I was approached by the chief of police. He actually came to my house and told me it was procedure that they were buying a car for the police department and I was to sign on it with you, Mayor. We both signed on that. That was what was explained to me. You signed for a car and I signed for a car. At that point in time, it did not go through city council till later. And I do recall that specifically.
You are correct, Council Chair. Those are undercover police vehicles. And the fear is to have them go before the council. And that was a procedure that was actually passed by city council over 30 years ago. Not equipment for.
Council Chair?
Okay, Councilman Muscat.
You know, the 9D and 9E, these are already purchased items. Okay, there's no reason for us to bicker of who's did this and who did that. The money was already spent. This needs to be approved. Just because somebody did something 30 years ago doesn't make it right. And it was wrong 30 years ago, and it's wrong today. So let's quit the fifth grade attitude and let's get the job done. That's all I gotta say. He did this and she did that 30 years ago. It's always council's fault what happened and who approved what. They did with that car was illegal at that time. So 9D and 9E should just be approved immediately.
Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, I need to have everybody use hands if they want to be recognized. And next I have Councilman Constant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just point out there's nothing in 9D that explains the transfer of funds from travel and expenditures to capital outlay. If that would have just been outlined in 9C, we wouldn't have had a problem. And there is procedure and it has to be followed. Thank you.
Next I have Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm not going to respond to that other comment just now, but what I do want to say is that this is really disappointing. I'm going to tell you why. That we need to have a spirit of cooperation. I mean, yes, absolutely follow procedures. I don't know where the breakdown is, but it's already there. I've been in that office. I think if any of us, I'd recommend all of us to sit and visit our offices, our departments. That furniture is probably issued with the original building issue. It is splintered. It is warped. It's not even secure. And there's papers, and God bless the ladies that work there. The papers, places to put them. There's not proper storage. It's not even a safe environment. I've heard about the basement. I haven't been in the basement because I've been told not to go in the basement because of health issues. And that's not a safe work environment for people. And we have a responsibility. We've been saying this, I said this a couple times, but it's a liability for the city and office culture. Yes, I believe in policy and procedures, absolutely. But like Councilman Muscat said, it is done. We just need to work together and be more supportive and cooperative, working together collaboratively. And yes, our employees, our staff, they're important too. They're our front line working with our constituents and residents. So let's just try to move on from this and learn from it. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
I've got Chief Myers next, and please use the hand if you want to be recognized.
Which hand do you want us to use? You're talking about on the bottom of the?
Yeah, there's a thing in there where you put your hand up and then I'll put it down and then I'll call on you in order. That's how I keep order of who comes up.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
No problem. Chief Myers, you're next.
Yeah, I'll hold on to my comments until the open forum to discuss some of the allegations about the use of police vehicles. Thank you.
Councilman Abdullah?
So the only disagreement I have with due respect to Councilman Muscat and Councilwoman Hicks Clayton, we cannot make a decision on whether it's this or anything else just based on the fact that it's already been done or if it's already been spent. Therefore, let's not cry over this because it's gone. And I'm not necessarily saying that our treasurer did something wrong. That's not for me to determine at this particular point. But I'm just saying we cannot make our decision just based on the fact that it's already been done, because then that's going to open up it's going to open up things for the future that's just not in the right direction.
Madam Chair, just to respond to that, if I may.
We're getting a little out of hand here. Let's get on track.
But I have something to add to that, if I may, please, because I just stated I fully support policies and procedures, right? Okay, I'll say it again. I fully support having policy and procedures. They're there for a reason. It has already happened. What the question becomes, then what are the consequences and the actions that if someone chooses to take, they have that option available to them. That's all I want to say.
At this point, moving forward, we will always make sure it comes to council for approval beforehand, and we will not buy anything unless it's a 911 emergency that we have to clear ahead of time. I say from this day forward, moving forward, we'll follow the procedure as outlined in the charter for everything, including everything. Okay, and Chief Myers, did you want to make a comment now?
You'd like me to comment on it now? We're talking about another agenda item, but if you want me to talk about vehicles, I can.
Okay, you know what, is that we can go on Is it on the agenda today?
Well, I'll do it on our open comments, but I'm not gonna
Okay.
have the image of the
All
police
right.
department being tarnished by anyone. We purchase our vehicles legally, and I would like to discuss, I will happily disclose any of our vehicles at the cost of purchasing another undercover vehicle when I disclose the make, model, and who's using the current vehicle that everybody's arguing over. So I'll do that during open discussion. I'll happily have that, and I'll wait my turn, but I'll let you vote on this. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Okay, at this point, let's take a vote on it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Oh. The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is Treasurer Abdul Haq, American Express Corporate Membership Reward Points.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
so just for clarification, we are on 9E, because I know we've gone back and forth all over the place. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're on 9E.
Just want to make sure. So I move that I motion that we approve with our treasurer, Zohair Abdul Haq, who's requesting City of Dearborn Heights Council authorizing Amazon to utilize our American Express corporate membership reward points. And these items have already been ordered at the treasurer's office, which is 5 desks, 2 computer monitors, 4 storage units, a letter opener, and then at the clerk's office, a letter opener, 2 desk chairs, and the City of Dearborn Heights had a total of 5,893,722 points available, and 631,100 were used for these purposes, leaving a balance of 5,002,620. And that's it. This is as outlined, item 9E.
Support.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Assessor Fuoco, EPA mileage approval.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move council concur with Assessor Anthony Foucault on millage for downriver disposal system. Millage requested is 0.1293 as outlined in 9F.
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Selmy, 2020 Water Main Replacement Program at Joy Road and Silvery Lane, certificate for payment number 4 and change order number 2 approval.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move council approve the water main replacement program for the actual work performed, resulting in a decrease of $130,438.74 to the contract value. Approve the change order number 2 and certificate for payment number 4 in the amount of $129,114.84. Certificate payment number 4 includes the contract decrease reflected in change order number 2 as outlined in 9G.
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Selmy, authorization for electrical repairs at Canfield Center.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with John Selmy, Director of Public Works, who's seeking approval for electrical service repairs at the Canfield Center with Westbourne Electrical in the amount of $15,552. The repairs for underground electrical work that was damaged during an excavation by the Department of DPW as outlined in item 9H.
Report.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you. I just want to thank DPW Director Selmy and his DPW crews for going out and securing that, because I know for a while it was exposed and a liability for a city. And then when I had contacted him, he responded promptly and took care of it. So thank you for that, Director.
Bella?
So this is for Director Selmy. 2 questions. Number 1, just a little bit more detail as far as the damage and was this something that happened, obviously I presume completely by accident, or was it somebody just not being as careful as maybe they should have been? And then the other question I had is, are we insured to cover something like this? I'm really concerned about a $16,000 repair job because of a
Self-insured.
potential mistake that was done.
Yeah, so this happened before I got here. This has been laying out there for a while. Apparently there was, I don't know what they were doing at the Canfield Center, some demo or something along those lines. The water department was out there to do some disconnect on the water service or fix a leaking water service. Not exactly sure, but in the course of fixing that, they hit an underground service which powers the, I believe the generator for the lights and stuff like that. It comes from inside the building and goes out to there. They had called Mistigs. It wasn't marked because it's on private property, considered privately owned. That's what I know. I wasn't here when it happened. Was it reckless and careless? I'm going to say no. I certainly hope not. But so this has been out there for a while, and you know, the hole was open for a while. So what has happened now is I need to pull all new wire to reinstate everything. So we did reach out to several contractors to bid on this, and we only got one bid. So hopefully that answers questions.
That answers one of my questions right there. I was going to ask you, did you put it out for some sort of bid? But the main question, the other main question I had is, are we typically insured for something like this? If one of our employees makes a mistake and there's some damage done that is obviously relatively substantial?
You know, I don't know if MA would cover that claim, seeing as how we did it, but I mean, I could look into that.
Okay, thank you.
Definitely.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Emergency Manager Gavin, proposal for camera system enhancement.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move City Council concur with Emergency Manager Coordinator Lee Gavin on adding 8 additional cameras with Guardian Alarm and not to exceed $9,950 as outlined in 9.1. 9I.
Support by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey?
Yeah, I have a question. So I wanted to see the recording. Obviously, the cameras, it looks like they got new cameras. They're updating the cameras as well. So I noticed also there's a service fee, monthly service fee. So for are they for the recording? I guess 2 questions. Are they continuously recording, and how long are they recording for incidents that happen outside the city hall and where the camera is going to be? And also, who has access to the recording? You know, I don't know if this is something new.
So we presently have 16 cameras now. A few people have access. I do not. I believe our HR director, Elizabeth Perry, has them. So when people need a copy of the video, she's the one that produces it. Yes, there is a $99 monthly maintenance fee, and I believe we've been paying that already. So with the new system, our cameras are already outdated. So as you see on the paperwork I submitted, they're going to give us a credit for $3,000, and that should help us, or will replace the 16 existing cameras plus 8 additional. As you know, on the south side of our building, we have a lot of activity with the basketball court. So we're adding 5 cameras to the exterior of the building and 3 to the interior of the building.
Okay. So with the new technology, how long is the recording for? Are they recording that? Is it saved? Is it weekly, monthly? How long is the recording saved?
I cannot answer that. I don't know for sure. Maybe HR Director Elizabeth Perry has her hand up and she could answer that. She's on the system.
And personally, when I checked into it, it was only a 7-day. Is that still, it's 10 now?
Why so little?
Really?
Yeah.
Mine
10.
records, keeps it for months and months and months.
Yeah.
And it's no difference in price. Got to get a better, bigger recorder.
Dr. Sabota Perry, is there any way that we can enhance it to go longer?
That would be a cloud issue with Dearborn IT. Dearborn IT and then Guardian Alarm, they would have to coordinate. We didn't determine that. It's determined based on whatever Guardian and what Dearborn IT can accommodate.
Okay,
Librarian
thank you.
McCaffrey, you have a question?
Yeah, I've worked with Guardian a little in the past, and often the amount of time that you can go back is often a function of the amount of cameras, the quality of cameras, quality of recording. You're recording in 4K, 2K, 1K. What are you trying to do? And that's often a function of that. So it can be as short as a few days in good quality, or it can be weeks in poor quality. It sort of is a function of that. So sometimes that sort of plays into the amount of time that's often that's used for that particular purpose. So just want to give some feedback on that.
Thank you.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Fire Chief Brogan, permission to accept regional AFG grant.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the City Council concur with Fire Chief David Brogan and accept the AFG Regional Operations Grant. This grant will be used for cardiac monitors and AEDs. The City of Dearborn Heights will receive $235,756 as outlined in item 9J.
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Fire Chief Brogan on tonight on our Zoom? Because I think he should answer this question if he would. If he would please tell the public and the council, I know council has it and it is public record, the total amount of grant money awarded to City of Dearborn Heights, the fire department, through Lieutenant Martin and her efforts, by the way, which I think should be highly commended. Are you on where you can announce that amount for us?
Got a deputy chief here. Can you help us on that?
Or Lisa Martin was here too. I don't know if she's here. Lisa's
Yes,
here.
Deputy Chief Badlow is on and listening. So, well,
Yeah,
first,
I've just unmuted him.
am I on?
Yes, you're unmuted.
Wonderful.
Deputy
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to say yes, thank you so much to Lieutenant Martin for her efforts in getting this grant and the others in the past. So the total amount awarded to the City of Dearborn Heights Fire Department was $10,525,000 and 739. $10 million. That's quite an accomplishment.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you for that announcement.
Next, we have Councilman Abdullah.
So I asked this in the past, and I'll ask it again. Obviously, our lieutenant is doing an unbelievable job. That's beautiful. Why is it that we don't have, and I'm not asking you, I'm sorry, I'm asking administration, maybe the mayor or the administration. Why is it that we don't have our own grant writer for the administration to be able to go after grants, whether it's something like Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton mentioned about for the CSO project or anything else for that matter? I mean, somebody like Lisa, obviously we're underpaying her because if she's brought us in over $10 million, geez, that's pretty good return on an investment. Does she have a twin? A, if not, where can we hire somebody as close as possible to her? Or as a possible another option, is it possible for her, and I don't mean to make decisions on behalf of our fire chief, but to have her right on behalf of our city also? Because I mean, this is a lot of money that she's bringing in, and she's obviously very talented at it. And I've heard it multiple times where she's much more talented than your average grant writer, and these are very difficult to bring in. Can somebody or the mayor answer that for me, please?
Yeah, I'll attempt to answer that. She has done a good job. We've recognized that. And she has assisted other departments, my office, and in helping us get other grants. So she has not been limited. And while you heard a number for the fire department, there's also another number that goes beyond the fire department that she has also gotten work to get money for the city. So her talents are utilized, and Chief Brogan and the fire department have been more than willing to loan her out to other departments as they've gone to get grants. And so her she's not only limited in fire department grants, and you're absolutely correct, all of you, that she's done an excellent job and continues to do an excellent job, and has got us quite a few COVID and other related dollars just in the recent past.
I'd like you, Mr. Mayor, for our next budget time, I'd like you to consider adding maybe a grant writer to be able to take full-time or whatever time that we needed for our city, different departments other than just the fire department to be able to bring in that money, because it more than pays for itself. I mean, that's a fact. Thank you.
Okay, I'll take that under consideration. Thank you, Councilman.
Okay, next we have Councilman Constant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, a very good job, Lieutenant Martin. And maybe we can hear from her. I know she does assist with grants for other departments. And I know sometimes the department or the department head themselves will write the application for the grant. But I see she's on the meeting. If we can hear from her and congratulate her, that would be great.
Hello.
Hi.
Go ahead.
What did you want to ask me?
No, I said very good job and congratulations and thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Baskin, it sounds like she's a little bit like you and not much for big speeches. So thank you.
Next, we have Chief Myers. Did you still want to speak?
I just was gonna let the council know and the citizens know that the fire department has been helping the police department over the last 18 months with grants. Lieutenant Martin, Lisa, this pains me to say she's doing a great job for a fireman. He is helping us obtain money, and there is more work out there than she's absolutely capable of doing by herself. So I appreciate what she's doing for the police department, and I appreciate Deputy Chief Badlow giving her time and Chief Brogan to work on police grants as well, which she's already helped us get a few, and we're waiting on another one just for the award. So it is paying off, and she is doing a great job. So it is valuable what she's doing and working for other departments.
Question before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Fire Chief Brogan, purchase and payment of stretcher Lucas device.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I move that City Council concur with Chief Brogan in permission to purchase a striker power load system and stretcher along with a Lucas chest compressor unit. The total cost for both units and accessories is $72,000. This will be 100% funded from the COVID funding payable upon receipt as outlined in 9K.
Support.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair?
Councilman Wenzel?
Yes, sorry I didn't push my raise hand button, but I didn't have time. Chief, that's $72,000. I know it's covered, but that's a lot of money. Can you tell us exactly what these apparatuses or this equipment is?
That's Deputy Chief Badlow. I'm muting
Okay,
him.
yeah, I got you now. Thanks very much. So they are expensive equipment, but the power loads I believe, are just under $10,000 a piece. And then the Lucas.
What are they? What do they do?
So power load system for the rescues. So they are an automatic stretcher that allows the
the patient to be loaded on a stretcher normally and then lifted into the rescue automatically. This greatly reduces injuries to the firefighters' backs and also provides a greater protection for the patient during transport. The Lucas device is an automatic chest compression device that is placed on a patient during cardiac arrest and continuously provides chest compressions at the proper rate and depth during the entire transport to the hospital and there before. So they've had some great success and great outcomes with the Lucas device, not only in the state of Michigan, but also in Ohio with some of my colleagues I've been hearing from in the Toledo area. So it's definitely worth its price, and it's a very valued piece of equipment.
Deputy, the stretcher apparatus, stretcher equipment, would that prevent accidents from what happened in the past?
I'm not familiar with any past accidents, but as far as to injuries to firefighters?
Injuries to patients.
Madam Chair, that was a closed session that we were discussing that.
When the stretchers are used in their proper form, they are very well, it's a very good piece of equipment, and they are very well received in the fire community.
I'm sure they are. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Deputy Chief Voiles, Purchase and Payment Power Data Management Software, DMS.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
I move that we concur with Deputy Chief of Police Gary Voiles, who's asking authorization to purchase and pay for the first year subscription and implementation of Power DMS for the police department. The first year cost would be $7,691.85 with an opportunity for 50% funding reimbursement first year only. And then if the grant is awarded, he's looking for a grant, our cost would be $3,845 for the first year. And a determination to continue the service, and this is based on as outlined in item 9L.
Support.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item is under ordinances and resolutions. This is notice of intent resolution capital improvement bonds drafted by Patrick McGow with Miller Canfield.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat?
I move council approve the water sewer budget notice of intent resolution for the sale of bonds, which requires approval by the city council, be added to this agenda. Attaches a cover letter that is letter from Miller Canfield and prepared resolution. I've got to get to that point as outlined in 9L.
11A.
11A.
Or excuse me, 11A.
Support.
Support by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
So I had a question in regards to one of the things in the letter. It says that the bonds can be issued without a vote of the city electors unless a petition is filed with city clerk within 45 days of publication of the notice signed by at least 10% of the registered electors of the city. The question is, for something like that, putting in the paper 1/4 page in size, and again, I'm one of those that still reads the paper, many papers every week, old school, open it up. But I know a lot of people nowadays are on websites, internet, etc. Why is that, or I shouldn't say why, is that displayed on our, for example, city website, etc., but most importantly, our city website, which is probably a source where a lot more voters would go to? Because my concern is if more than 10% of the registered voters have a problem with this, but yet because of the lack of communication or the improper communication or more past tense communication that is not as effective in today's world, and we end up passing this as a council kind of sort of without the voters' knowledge, I find that a little problematic. So I'm not sure if it's the mayor that answers this or the clerk or who would answer why we wouldn't put it on multiple websites. And by the way, when I say websites, I'm not talking about just putting the agenda on there. To me, that's not a real true publication. That's just my personal opinion. Thank you. I'm not sure if that's the mayor, the clerk. I'm not sure who can answer that one.
I don't know if, thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know if bond council's on the meeting, but yeah, when there's the city bonds out for big capital improvement, instead of putting it on the tax rolls all at once, these are just requirements to comply with the state law. And it's usually the authority that issues the bonds. There should be Mike McGee from Miller Canfield. I don't know if he was invited to the meeting or not, but he should be available to answer those questions.
Councilman, we have Patrick McGow with his hand up and also Christina Laszlo.
Great.
So let's let them talk. I lost Christina. I am so sorry. Okay, I'll unmute Patrick McGow right now, and then I will look for Mrs. Laszlo.
Great. Good evening, members of the council. This is Pat McGow. I'm here as the bond attorney who prepared the resolution. I think the question was about the notice itself and the procedure for getting that information to the voters. The state law that regulates how bonds are issued and the procedures that need to be followed are very explicit in requiring a notice like this to be published in the local newspaper with at least a quarter-page ad to provide that notice to the voters. And the newspaper timing is important because the timing on the 45-day referendum period begins with the date of publication. So that's the process that is set forth by statute to provide that notice to people. Obviously, this information is on the agenda as well, but the measure is really going to be 45 days from the date that is published on the newspaper, and that is what is used to measure the period for the referendum. I would also just emphasize that this is really kind of the first step in the process for the issuance of the bonds, the adoption of this resolution. This is really only tonight to authorize the publication of the notice of intent, and the actual authorization for the issuance of bonds would come back to the city council at a later meeting sometime after the first of the year, assuming we get past this first stage. So that's the process. Is first there's a notice of intent resolution. The clerk publishes it in the newspaper, and then we wait for that 45 days. And then we would come back to the city council at a later date once the project amounts have been finalized and a resolution's been prepared for the authorization for the issuance of the bonds.
So, Mr. McGow, just finish my.
I'm sorry. Next, we've got Mrs. Laszlo, and then we've got Councilman Constant, and then Councilman Bella. Go ahead, Mrs. Laszlo.
Yes, I'm now on my porch, so I'm good. Councilman Abdullah and any other council members, if they want something to be posted right on the front page of the website, we can post it on the front page of the website. We can do whatever council collectively decides on. Whenever you decide it, we can work with you and do that. That's all I had to say. Nothing about the bond, just about the postings. So.
Very much. We have Councilman Constant again.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and bond counsel Patrick McGow. Can you remember in recent history of any city, anyone circulating petitions and referendum to stop a bond issue or anything like that coming up? Is it a fair statement to say this is a formality to comply with state law? He's muted.
There we go. Thank you. I think I'm back now. To answer your question, this is a procedure that's pretty common in most types of municipal bond statutes. I would say that the circulation and filing of a referendum petition is relatively rare, certainly less than a couple % of the time. Certainly, it does happen from time to time on various projects, and that's an opportunity. The reason these referendum rights are put in these bond issues is these types of actions are routinely done by councils, but this also gives the voters a chance, if they really object to the issuance of bonds for a project, to be able to get that to the voters. But I would say that happens certainly very rarely, and probably less than 1 or 2% of the time in connection with these types of bond issues. And it's a pretty common process that's in a lot of these various municipal bond statutes.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah.
He's muted.
Oh, where did he go? He's off. He was sneezing, so. Go ahead, Councilman.
So if you don't mind, with the council's permission and our council chair's permission, I would like for full transparency so that residents have an option of objecting to this to be put on our website, if you don't mind. Would you be okay with that, council chair and other council
Absolutely.
members?
Yes.
Thank you.
You know what? Let's poll all the council members, yes or no. Councilman Muscat, would you be okay with that?
Yes.
Councilman Constant?
Yes.
Councilman Bazey?
Yes.
Councilman Abdullah?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
Yes.
Councilman Wenzel?
Yes.
And I would be also a yes. So yes, that's what we'll do from now on then.
Thank you.
We still have to vote on this though.
Madam Chair.
Now, at this point, are we done discussing this to
Madam
vote on
Chair.
it? Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Councilman Abdullah, for pointing that out. I agree with you, as the council did as well. This is a formality, of course, but I think it's also important for transparency. We want to encourage citizen engagement, so making it available on the city website as well as even social media, I think it's very important because not everyone is going to receive the press and guide. I did want to make a comment, ask the attorney, and I do believe with a collection or circulating petitions, which was alluded to earlier, that is something, from my understanding, the citizens can take upon themselves to go out and do during that 45-day referendum period once it is posted. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. If the citizens wanted to do that, they could prepare a petition and circulate that. And again, the timing requirement is that would need to be filed with the city clerk within 45 days of the date of publication of the newspaper. I would just add on the last point about the posting on the website. I would suggest that when that goes on the website, I think it would be helpful to have a notation that indicates the date that it was published in the newspaper, because that would be important for people to understand when that 45-day period begins to run.
Thank you for that.
Further discussion before we take a vote on this?
Councilman Bazey had a question.
Oh, Councilman Bazey, go ahead, please.
Yeah, again, I'm not in support of this at this point. I've been talking to a lot of residents since COVID, since this pandemic. We got a lot of our senior citizens that have been hit, really hard. And to overburden them now with more money, more payments. Some of them are choosing to pay some of their bills, instead of eating. So I am definitely not voting for this, not this year. And I don't know about next year. But again, that's my take. I've been talking to a lot of residents and they strongly oppose this right now.
Madam Chair, may I ask a point of clarification?
At this time, I think we need to move on and vote on it. We're just taking this discussion way too far.
Madam Chair, though, I don't know the point of clarification. This is only to get it published. Is that correct?
Correct.
It's only publication, and that is in the motion. Is that correct?
Correct. It is notice of intent resolution, capital improvement bonds drafted by Patrick McGow with Miller Canfield.
If I could answer that, the resolution only authorizes the publication of the notice of intent. It does not authorize the issuance of the bonds. That would need to come back to the council at a later date for action. This is really just to publish the notice of intent to begin the process.
Thank you.
Okay.
And let's take a vote on it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
Okay, I'm going to need to take a roll call on that. Councilman Muscat, how do you
Yes.
vote?
Yes.
Councilman Constant, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Bazey, how do you vote?
No.
Councilman Abdullah, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Wenzel, how do you vote?
No.
Malinowski Maxwell is yes. That passes. Next item on the agenda is the business license renewal for Anthony's All Car and Truck Sales LLC located at 20032 Van Born, and also for Denny's Gin Mill located at 4901 South Telegraph, and also High Grade Steakhouse located at 25240 Ford Road.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I approve that business license renewals for all of the businesses as outlined in 8A be renewed.
Support.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we are going on to comments from council members. I will begin with Madam Clerk. She has a message to deliver tonight.
Okay, I have two actually, if that's okay. The first one being on our upcoming election. You know, next Tuesday, a week from today. There's no council meeting, right? Anyway, you gotta have a little humor. I just wanted to let you know we've issued nearly 15,000 absentee ballots so far. We've got roughly, no, we got pretty 70% return so far.
Wow.
10,500. So we've been extremely busy, but we could not do that without the respect that our council chair has given us as far as not adding anything more onto the agenda, because you know that the meetings can be lengthy and we're here from early in the morning. So we really appreciate the respect for our office. I wanted to thank Chrissy Laszlo for helping us out by organizing the hallway. This building is packed from morning till night, and it's pretty much for voting, you know. So they've organized the hallway so that we can have an even flow, and of course social distancing. The building's not that big, and all of the department heads, every single one has pitched in, and we really appreciate that, and especially the clerk's office staff. They have been hustling and bustling. We've been working 6 days a week, and we couldn't do it without all of you. So keep us in your thoughts up in through like November 4th. That's the day after. So hopefully everything goes smoothly, because obviously we won't know. I mean, there's a high amount, you know, obviously I told you there was a high amount of ballots that we issued, but we don't know how many more we're going to have at the polls. So, but thanks again for everything that everybody has done. And the second thing I wanted to do, I wanted to know if we could have a moment of silence. There was a very special woman that was in my life. I've known her for served on the Crestwood Board of Education with her for 16 years, Mrs. Donna Ansenek. She passed away this past Sunday after, I want to say about a 5-year illness. And Donna served on the Crestwood School Board for 20 years. I was on there with her for 16 years. She was the president. I was the secretary, and we were hand in hand when we were up there. Donna's heart was immense for the children of this community, and she will be tremendously missed. So at this moment, if we could take a moment of silence, I'd appreciate that. Thank you, Council Chair. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Here.
I would just like to add that Dearborn Heights lost a very good, dedicated woman to education in this particular community. And I think we are all going to miss her so much and everything that she did for the city. We lost a great woman.
I agree.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I will open it up to other council members at the table.
Madam Chair.
I raised my hand.
Bazey, go ahead, please.
First, I have a question for the mayor. For the website, I was looking at it. So I've gotten calls over probably the last year and a half, about the different appointees that you have for different commissions. So the city website is not updated. Is there a way we can update the city website with the commissions, the ones that you appointed, so people can know who's on what commission? I guess the first question.
Mayor, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, I'm not sure how current it is. I know most of the people on the commission, so I don't usually refer, but we'll update it.
Okay, thank you. Also, I want to extend my condolence to Councilman Tom Wenzel and his family on the passing of his brother. His brother he was a Vietnam vet, a Marine. May he rest in peace and Semper Fi to him. And also, I want to extend my condolences to Councilman Constant on the passing of his mother. May she rest in peace. Our thoughts and prayers are with both of your families.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Councilman Muscat.
Again, to Mr. Wenzel and to Mr. Constant, my heart goes out to both of you. Sorry for your losses. A few months ago, or maybe a few council meetings ago, I spoke about the left-hand turn lights at Gully and Ford Road and Silver Lane and Ford Road, and kind of a confusion on whose road that was. Well, it belongs to MDOT, and I reached out to our representative, our Wayne County Commissioner, Mr. Kniezek, and he helped me out finding out how to do this. So it's tomorrow, if it's okay with Chief Myers, I will email him with the information that needs to, get the ball started for MDOT to look at those situations, if he doesn't mind. And I will do that tomorrow when I get home from work. And the other one goes, I believe maybe Mr. Mayor can answer this question. Has anybody looked into, again, the property of St. Mel's? Something that, we're going to spend a lot of money on our roof of our building here at City Hall. What we can do maybe with that property and have everything all under one roof. It just a nice big piece of property here, just sitting there. And I would really like for somebody to look into it, not just talking about it, but really look into it.
Yeah, if I can respond, I contacted the Archdiocese of Detroit. It is listed through a realtor, but I talked to Mr. McInerney, who is a person who the Archdiocese uses for acquisition and disposals of property. He indicated to me, as a result of COVID, I didn't pursue it, but he had extended that if the council and myself, and if I wanted to bring a department head or two, he would be more than willing to show us the property and also indicate, but he said, since they listed it, we would need to go through the realtor. But he also indicated to me at this point, they do not have any strong interest in the property from any individuals. But I told him that we were interested, and I said, please don't dispose of the property without getting back to us. And he promised me they would not do that. He had indicated, however, that would you guys like, when I say guys, the council, and the mayor, would you all like to go over and view the property? Now, I did get a chance to view it when I was on the Archdiocese of Detroit's review of the parishes in the North End, and I was a representative from St. Linus. So we had a lot of our meetings over there, and I'm very familiar. They have an excellent kitchen and gym, which is extremely good. And I know roughly, because I still have my notes, from what the condition of the property is. But in light of COVID, I don't know how we would want to conduct that type of personal review, but that has been made out. So I have actually pursued it when you brought it up initially, and I've gotten it to this point.
Yeah, I think we're going to let it slip out of our hands, and I think that would be something that's it's worthwhile to the city. There, you know, we could do a lot with the Canfield Center, get money for that, and help offset the cost. So that's my take on it. Thank you very much, and I'm done.
Next, we have Councilman Wenzel.
Yeah, thank you. Item 7D, the going out for bids for the projects. I was tempted to change my vote, but I'm not going to. I just want to make sure that we continue to look into other options for financing. And if this comes before us for a vote, and I'm not happy with the investigating going on for these different options, I will vote no on anything in the future. Plus I want to know if any of these projects have anything to do with the retention basin. I'll get together with Dan Brooks before the next meeting. I'll do some research on that, and I'll bring that forward also. And during this meeting, I took a couple of notes, and I believe for our next budget, we should include a grant writing department, specifically just for all grants for the city, a couple of people, 2 or 3 people, whatever. We should definitely look into that. In the last few weeks, there's been a lot of tragedy in my life and other people's lives. And it kind of makes you reflect. And I was watching a church service on television Sunday, and they talked about the 10 commandments. The first commandment, love your maker with all your heart. Second commandment is love your neighbor as you would yourself. So I think we should, in Dearborn Heights, everybody has disputes. Everybody has right to their own opinion, but love your neighbor as you would yourself. It's good to argue. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 7 members on city council. We just have 1, or we just have a mayor. So I think it's important to have your opinion, but love your neighbor. Don't criticize people. Don't be malicious in your comments. And also in that church service, they said, we're doing prayers of the faithful. I said, let's pray for our local elected officials. People are praying for us. That's right. We have an obligation. People are praying that we do the right thing. We do the right thing for the residents. Let's do what's best for the residents. A lot of things have been going through my head lately, and I think we need to sit back and reevaluate the way we deal with situations and people. Do it in a kinder manner. And also, our clerk's office has been working their butts off, in the last 6 months, probably longer. Let's do them an honor, and don't forget to vote. Let's have this the biggest voting turnout in the history of Dearborn Heights. Thank you very much.
Councilman Constant.
Madam Chair? You cut out, Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to again congratulate our city clerk, Lynn Senia, and our grant writer in the fire department, Lieutenant Martin, for the grant monies they were able to procure. I think that grant money is going to become less and less available with the coming recession, possibly because of the lockdown, because of the pandemic. I'd like to thank the mayor and our librarian, Mike Cafferty. The barrier that was put in at the back of City Hall for Kenlock, it looks much nicer than the stone that was placed there. So I think hopefully the residents will be happy. And I don't know if that gate opens and closes, but if it does, then we've sort of got the best of both worlds. And yes, we do need to all do our job, and we do need not to sensationalize issues, small issues, and we do need to all get along and get the work of the city done. So thank you.
Madam Chair.
Clayton?
Thank
Chair,
you,
we
Madam
can
Chair.
hear you.
Oh, I think, Madam Chair.
Hicks Clayton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too want to extend our deepest condolences to Councilman Tom Wenzel, the loss of his brother, Mike, as well as Councilman Robert Constant, the passing of your mother, Lily. And of course, to all the friends and family members of our community, not just Crestwood School District, but the community, for the passing of Donna Ansonik. Definitely the community will grieve that loss. I think it's really important during these times, it's such a difficult time, that we show compassion and kindness to each other, regardless of our differences. The compassion counts. The loss you can feel is immeasurable, but know that the love that's left behind is a mountain of love that we all treasure. I do have a follow-up question, city business wise. And I'm going to ask this of our city treasurer, Mr. Abdelhak. And the question I have is that you had brought forward at a council meeting, a previous council meeting, the question of the restricted funds in the city budget and what the charter allows for and requests and requires the separation of those restricted accounts. My understanding is not necessarily just on paper or in the system or labeled as restricted. And when I asked the question about the $2 million that the council had moved and approved in 2016, we were advised at the time that that money is in the pool account, which is the general government savings. So Mr. Abdelhak, Treasurer Abdelhak, would you please, do you have an update for us on this item?
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton, thank you for the question. Yes, the charter call on the treasurer to put every fund, separate from others and forbid the commingling of accounts. The $2 million you're talking about, it's basically was assigned for the retiree, general government retiree health care. And it was meant, and I was there when the city council approved it, and they want to put it in a separate account restricted when Mr. Riley stood up and he asked to keep it in the general fund for cash flow. And as our mayor too, last city council, he said that the money is there, but they leave it basically if they have a rainy day, they don't have enough money to pay the portion of the retiree health care for general government, that they can take money of it. But if the city council want me to take it and put it in the retiree, for the general government retiree health care, I'll be more than happy, because all it takes is just to establish, basically, move the money from one account to the account of the health care for the retiree. So if you want me to do that, I'll be obliged to do it as the charter asks. And all you have to do is just give me the order. I'll do it tomorrow.
Thank you for the update.
Madam Chair. Yeah, I think you recognized me. I wanted to announce to everyone that I did receive the resignation of our controller, Linda Vance, And so will be pursuing a replacement for Linda. I don't know if she is on the phone call, but I want to publicly thank her for her service to the city of Dearborn Heights. And Linda, you're going to be missed. The other item that I wanted to comment on, I would ask you not to move the $2 million into retirement. The city has adopted a plan to handle those legacy costs with the state of Michigan. If we run into a problem and 1 year we can't satisfy the plan, that money could be utilized to meet our obligation to the state of Michigan. If you put that money in right now, we don't have that insurance policy. And I would ask John Riley, quite frankly, because there's all kind of accounts being opened and closed, but John Riley served the city well, and we should talk to him before we make any kind of movements for a part-time treasurer that isn't qualified.
At least I'm not tripping off the residents of $4 million, Mayor.
Okay, at this point, we're going to ask for point of order, and I'm going to move on. At this point, I would also like to offer my condolences to Donna and Donna's family, to Councilman Constant in the death of his mother Lillian, and Councilman Wenzel in the death of his brother Mike. I'd also like to thank the clerk's office. They have been staying late. There has been several nights if they had to get a hold of me, I'm calling them way after hours. I don't think anybody realizes how much time they're really putting in that office to get these absentee ballots processed. So I gotta, congratulate them for keeping up with them. Also, too, I'd like to say something about Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson, I've known you since I was a kid. Your sister was my best friend when we were 2 years old. I've known your grandmother. I've known your whole family, your aunts and uncles. And it's sad to see you leave the city. I mean, your family has been here for years. They were the first family my parents met when they moved to Dearborn Heights. And we're going to miss you. And I hope you continue to come to our meetings. It wouldn't be a meeting without you, okay? I don't know. I think he's trying to say something. Hold on a minute. Go ahead.
Well, as you said, my family's been here for a very long time. My grandparents bought the home in 1937. I am the 5th generation from my family to be in this city. It wasn't even a city when my grandparents bought it. Across the street was fruit trees all the way to Telegraph. Telegraph at that time was like that wide. Nowhere near what you have now. So I've seen a lot of things happen in this area. Some good, some not so good. But like everybody said, there is a future to it. But the problem that I've discovered in the time that I've been paying attention to politics and stuff around here is not everybody's on the same page, which is to be expected, like Tom said. That's why you have 7 council members. What the biggest thing is, if the residents themselves would just take the time, talk to your neighbors, talk to the people down the street. It's not always easy, but you can get things done. The way I was raised, if you saw a problem and didn't speak up about it, then you're part of the problem because you did not try to make it better for anybody else. The biggest thing that the citizens of the city, I want to make sure they understand it. The city does not belong to the mayor, the city council, the clerk. It doesn't belong to those folks. You are the residents. This is your town. It will be whatever you want it to be or not become. Your biggest thing, if you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain. The ballot box is your voice. I'm a veteran. I help protect that right. Mr. Bozzi's the same way. If you don't elect who you want into place or even vote at all, then you have no right to complain. You can squawk all you want to, but your opinion doesn't mean anything if you don't put your rights out there. And I wish everybody the best of luck. And Denise, don't worry, I'm not going away. I've still got projects here I'm working on.
It's not going to be right not having your family in the city. I mean, your grandmother, I call her grandma,
I did too.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's been a pleasure to work with the folks that have helped me get things done. I will still partake in the meetings. Like I said, I've still got projects in the city. The Veterans Memorial is not done yet. I am not walking away from that project. The coronavirus is the only reason it's not completed now, or it would have been done in the spring. Again, I wish my best to everybody and take care of yourselves.
Next, we have Mrs. Laszlo.
Council Chair, I just had a comment for public comment, not public comment, public announcements.
Go ahead, that's next, so you're up.
Okay, thank you, Council. Chrissy Laszlo, Mayor's Office. Like I said with the previous bid, but I'm begging members and the public as well. The city's gonna go out for bid for a title company. We're looking for a title company to do services for the city's hazard mitigation grant. It would be really nice if we could only go out for bid one time. In order to satisfy that bid, we need at least 3 bidders. So I'm asking anybody that knows a title company, has a title company, or is listening that works for, or owns a title company, can bid on this project. And if they have any questions, to call the mayor's office and we can put them towards BidNet. Thank you.
Next, we have Library McCaffrey.
Hello, Council Chair and Mayor. Just want to touch on a couple of items. First off, I want to let residents know our computers by appointment at Carrollton County Library is going strong. Please contact 313-791-3800 to make an appointment if you need to job hunt, study, or conduct business. Second, I wanted to celebrate a milestone in our delivery. To date, we have delivered over 20,000 craft kits to residents and delivered over 3,000 homeschooling boxes to area school kids learning at home. We will be delivering through December, so feel free to call our libraries and sign up. Finally, our home delivery service is also up and running. I have some rather devoted patrons busily reading from home. A couple even use it every single day that we do delivery. They just order bags of them. So if you're interested in having library items delivered, give us a call at 313-791-3800 to request items, or go to our library catalog, place a hold, and give us a call when you get notice it is in, and we'll drop it off to your house. As for further in-building services, we have some COVID grant money through CARES grants and other grants. We're working on retrofitting our libraries and furniture to create a more hygiene-friendly environment. When that is complete and conditions allow, we will be opening further soon. That's all for now. Thanks for your time, and see you at the library soon.
Do we have any other public announcements? At this time, we do open it up to public comments. We limit it to 3 minutes. Now we must state our name, address, state, city, and state. I'm going to ask that you raise your hand on the Zoom application to be called on, and please activate your video to verify who we are speaking with during public comment.
Mr. Myers is
have
asking.
Chief
Police
Myers.
chief had his hand up.
I see that, Councilman. Okay.
All right, apparently I was raising my wrong hand. I was waving instead of raising my hand, so I apologize.
Well, we got you, no problem.
Yeah, there's different things. So I'm going to start with the easy stuff. I'm going to kind of go in order. First of all, we have a swearing in again tomorrow. We are hiring another police officer, so our staff is continue to grow. We swore in 2 new ones about 2 weeks ago, Ed Moore and Fatin Shakur, and they're adding to our police department. They're everything we want to see in young officers, and we're pretty excited about it. I don't want to steal the Deputy Chief Badalow's steam, but I know there's a swearing in of a lot of firemen tomorrow and promotions as well. So that'll be going on tomorrow. Couple big things coming up. We've got the Halloween holiday coming up for the police department. We just want residents to know that to be safe, to follow the CDC guidelines. Please, if you're going to participate in something, an event, a Halloween activity, do it before dusk if possible. For our citizens, please drive safely. If kids are out, wear reflective gear, flashlights, anything to let people see you. Parents, go with your children. Please respect others in the community. That includes blocking driveways, parking your car in neighbors' driveways and leaving it there when you take your kids trick or treating. Although convenient for you, very inconvenient for your neighbor. So please respect one another. We will be out there. If you have any concerns, and if it's a non-emergency nature, please call 313-277-6770. If it's an emergency, obviously 911. But we're hoping to have a safe Halloween here in Dearborn Heights. The next big thing is election. We are working with the clerk's office to assure the security and the safety of our election. As this meeting goes on, there's been a legal challenge to some of the rulings out there. So over the next few days, we'll hear more about certain Secretary of State orders and what the police response will be. But this is what I can tell you from the law enforcement perspective. We will do our best to protect one of the greatest responsibilities we have here in America, and that is to vote. We have officers and reserve officers to work with the clerk's office to assure the safety of the ballots. We also have additional members to be able to respond to any allegations of voter intimidation or any type of thing that would prevent somebody from safely doing it. I know to vote. I know our citizens will do a great job and come out and support whatever cause they feel, but the police department is ready to face the challenges of the day, working with the clerk's office. And once again, call the non-emergency number if you think something is not awry. And if it's an emergency, we will respond, but we are well prepared to help citizens safely vote on this election day. Finally, I do want to comment on some of the things that were said earlier by both appointed officials. The police department has not ever done anything illegal to purchase a vehicle. The vehicle that's in question is currently in my fleet. I am happy to disclose that vehicle to City Council at the expense of another vehicle. I have the purchase order from that agreement. I do understand that the council chair didn't like the way it went down or how it was done in the past. So then I changed that. And I believe the council chair understands that. And I brought it to her, and then it was actually put on the agenda without those things. So I made a better process. But the allegations that a vehicle was purchased with forfeiture money, which would be illegal, brings a cloud of suspicion over this police department that was completely uncalled for. I've worked for very, very honorable men, and the allegation that a vehicle was purchased, maybe because it's similar to one that was purchased privately, is actually disappointing. And I take offense to it as a police officer here. I work with excellent individuals. I've worked for excellent individuals. The police officers here don't deserve that type of allegation that a vehicle was purchased with forfeited money illegally. That has not happened, and I'm willing to expose that vehicle in its entirety if it's up to them, if the council wants to purchase another vehicle at that cost just to prove a point. And I don't think that's right. And I think it was wrong for those allegations and speculation and things that are being said. I have the proof. I'm willing to do it at the cost of another vehicle. But the integrity of a former chief of police, to question them and to question the people that submitted those paperworks into forfeiture, is wrong. And I'm very disappointed. I'm proud of this police department. I'm proud of every member that's worked here, that continues to work here and has worked here in the past. And I'll leave it at that, but it's your decision how you want to proceed about that vehicle that's currently in our fleet. Thank you.
At this time, we will move on to public comments. We ask that you raise your hand on a Zoom application. You have 3 minutes. You state your name, address, city, and I think county and state. Is that not correct, Madam Clerk? It was county too. Okay, we have to do the county. And then we need you to activate your video to verify who we are speaking with. Go ahead, please.
Do we have
We
that?
have Charles Blackwell. Let me unmute you, sir.
Hello, my name is Charles Blackwell. My address is 2976 Cortland, Detroit, Michigan, Wayne County. I wanted to inform the public about the council chairwoman intentionally failing to provide her emails pursuant to a FOIA request. She was very evasive and non-cooperative with turning over her emails, which are public records. And She then has her fiance, who is also her personal attorney, to provide statements in the press to slander me. And I believe that is wrong for an elected official to not turn over public records. And it's also hypocritical because the council chairwoman has blasted the mayor about not cooperating with the city council subpoena, but the council chairwoman is failing to cooperate with a FOIA request. So I find that very hypocritical. Thank you.
Wait a minute, we're not muted. Hold on.
We can't hear you, Denise.
Okay, we have Dana Parrish. Oh, hold on. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Mayor, and members of the City Council. A couple of things. One is, on the last meeting, I asked about fuel, and I was told to look at the budget, which obviously makes sense. I did go online, and the last budget for the city of Dearborn Heights that I was able to obtain was 2018-19 budget. That's the last one that was available for view online. So if somehow whoever's in charge of the online information could please put the latest City of Dearborn Heights budget online, I would appreciate it. I have some questions through the chair. One is the residents of the City of Dearborn Heights have been paying the excess Headley amount, or Headley amendment, for 9 years now. That's been $3.8 million a year. The city's been closed one extra day per week, which resulted in basically negligible savings, unless they're substantial and somebody can show me some evidence of what those savings have been. Our water budget has been tapped for expenses that were clearly not water related, yet our current budget resulted in only a $203,000 surplus. The residents have given over $34.2 million to the city with a $50 million annual budget. So perhaps through the chair, Mayor, can you tell me what you've done to turn the fiscal health of this city of Dearborn Heights around?
I'm gonna put my hand up.
I don't wish
Mayor,
to
would you like-
comment. I don't
Okay,
wish to
thank you.
comment.
Okay.
He did not give his address, by the way. You.
Okay.
But the statement-
Yes, and you're right. You're correct. He needs to give his
My
name,
address-
address.
My address is 5614 Grindley Park, Dearborn Heights, Michigan. I live in Wayne County. I apologize, Madam Chair. I can move
I
on to
know
my
it's
next
new
question.
for all of us.
That's okay. My next question is, do any employees in the city ever receive a pay increase or bonus without it being approved by the city council?
Who would you like that to be directed towards?
To whomever in the administration would give a pay increase or bonus without it being approved by the city council?
Well, let me
Mayor,
answer. The answer to that is no.
Thank you.
Any amount has to be approved by the council, and that's the only way that anybody would receive. I should indicate to you in your last question, now that you've given your address, is that it is estimated that the 1 day going to from 5 days to 4 days saved approximately $450,000 a year.
Okay. Under the provisions of the DROP program, how long can a former employee keep their money in the fund and continue to draw the guaranteed 5% return on their money? That's after they retire, after they leave the city. And what happens when the retirement fund investments don't earn the 5% on the fund? Who pays the losses?
Got her hand up. Let's have her answer. I think she wants to answer that.
Yes, the 5% can stay in indefinitely, and so far as that's yielded a tremendous savings to the pension board. Any further comment though, Chief Myers might be better able to answer how much savings.
Myers, did you want to say anything?
First of all, the pension board meets the third Wednesday of every month at 4:15. So these are great questions for the pension board. But if he's saying how long that money stays in there and earns interest, and when you talk about actuarial evaluations, there's a smoothing technique. So it takes into effect gains and losses. So over the course of 15 to 20 years, you smooth over those. I'm not an actuary. I don't pretend to be. But what I can tell you is that the drop program and the keeping of funds, people allowing their money to grow both in there is both advantageous to both the participant and the city.
Okay, I don't know anywhere where you can leave your money in a program where you can get 5% per year guaranteed. Nowhere in this economy. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Appreciate it.
Do we have any other public comment at this time?
Director Hashem has his hand raised.
Director Hashem, hold on. Let me unmute you, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, council members. Two things. I'd like to offer my condolences to Councilman Tom Wenzel and to Bob Constant. I'm sorry about your loss. I also like to wish Linda Vance a good future with her new job, and I hope that she does very well. She will be dearly missed. I know that we've had a good relationship, and she has caught on to pretty much all the city financials. Thank you, Linda, for all your services. Lastly, Madam Chair, I'd like to also reinstate that we have a program in the city, and this is to what Councilman Bazey mentioned, that there's people hurting out there. We do have CARES money available. All we need is people to call our office, and I'll offer the phone number. We will pay, actually, we just received an increase, so we can pay up to 6 months of utilities. That includes your water bill, that includes your electric bill, and we will pay your rent, we'll pay your mortgage if you're past due on all of those. All you have to do is call us. We have tried to advertise this as much as possible. It is listed on our website. There's an application and a PDF form that you can fill out. You can call our office at 313-791-3500. Please, if you don't need it, pass the word out to your neighbors, to your relatives, to your elderly. Anybody can qualify to that. We will, go through the application process with you if you need help. And the money's there. Just give us a call and we'll be more than happy to help. Thank you very much, and you all have a great evening. By the way, Joe Hashem, 26560 Wilson Drive, Wayne County, Dearborn Heights. Thank you.
Want to give the number to your office, Mr. Hashem, Director Hashem?
313-791-3500.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bazey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's adjourned. Everyone have a good night.